Hello all, TerraZone 0 here once again with a different video this time. For the first time ever, I'm going to be trying out a homemade TCG that isn't my own. And we're going to be starting off by trying out OIO's game on untap.in. So let's give it a go, shall we? We're going to join the game. They're online currently. Okay, so we have two different decks. Is this card supposed to be in my deck? Just put it out of the way until you want to pulse it, or okay. Alright, so OIO is going to be going over how you play Unreal Tactics, which is their own homemade trading card game that they've been working on for quite some time. And we'll be playing it here on untap.in because that is currently the only way to play it right now. Since this is a quick clash, our starting hands are 3 instead of 7. So we start our hands with 3 cards. Okay, so they have a 5-card hand now. Don't forget to draw from your choices as well at the start of each turn. So they played this card. At your draw phase, if you took damage last turn, gain 5 TE. Once per turn, you can take 5 FD, draw a card, and if it's a bud, you can discard or hop 1 ally card using friend vendor's quirk or quirk's effects. So what are the phases of a turn? Draw period, fight period, and end period. Okay, so draw period is I draw 1 card. Okay, so I draw 1 off here. Then 1 from other deck. Alright, so, okay, so then you play cards to the board during fight period, I guess? Yes, but you can also play them during any part of any turn as long as it's allowed. Oh, okay, it's those rules, alright. So T is health. I assume when this goes to 0, that's when the winner is. What are rules to playing cards? To play the monsters, buds in the game regularly, you gotta spend choices. From ranks 1 to 4, 1 choice. 5 to 6, 2. 7 to 8, 3. 9 to 10, 4. 11 to 12, 5. They can also be advanced called by offering, tributing, buds whose choice requirements equal the bud you're advance calling. When spending choices, you don't actually discard them, they just go back into your choice deck when that deck is emptied. Alright, so I have this. Redrawn choice. Actually, there are 4 kinds of choices. Blanks, X's, Y's, and Z's. They each need your TE be at some value below 26. 25 or less. 20 or less. Oh. Y's 15 or less. And then I guess Z's are 10. Okay, 10 or less. So I would assume I can draw then because I have 25 or... Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so I can draw a card. Now I have a 1. 1 for 2, random blitz, discard 1 ally card, draw 2 cards. And if your rival holds 2 or more cards than you, you can discard 1 of the drawn cards, recast 1 ally. So this is like an attack stoppy card. Okay. This card. The bubble in the corner represents its rank and core 9. So it's got 0 GP and 15 BP. You command a rank 5 or higher bud. Ally buds gain 5 BP and GP every 3 of each commanded ally buds added ranks. 1 to 4, one choice. Oh. How does battle work? I gotta ask all the questions right now. It's lane-based. Buds can only attack buds in nearby zones, including its allies. Speaking of which, there are only 7 zones. Which one do you want? And tracker to be in? Yeah, this is a game that definitely needs actual spaces on the board. 1, 2, 3. I'll just put them in 3. There's a note function for cards and untap. Oh, okay. Helps keep track of stuff like this. Just put it out of your way and shuffle it back into your second deck when that becomes empty. Okay, I'm just gonna put it over here. What's the limits on playing cards and attacking the G? There is no limit on playing cards for attacking, however, each bud gets an attack at the start of your fight phase, but lose them at the end of the turn. Do you have any attackable cards? You could have attacked me directly, actually, if it wasn't the first round of the game. During the first round, the first 2 turns, buds can't attack, and players can't damage each other. I guess I'll just end since I can't attack. This is a stop attack. Draw 2 cards and your rival holds 2 or more cards, then you can discard 1 card drawn. Yes, you can cast that if you want. Discard an ally card to draw 2 cards. If your rival holds 2 or more cards, you can okay. So I cast 1 for 2. Discard an ally card to draw 2 cards. You can discard 1 of the drawn cards. Recast 1 ally act at the next draw phase. This act is cast and you haven't taken damage this turn, I guess. Draw until you hold 8 cards. Before I forget, Blitz, Event, Arena, and Item acts can be cast during any turn. Oh, okay. Regular and Infinite can only be cast during yours, okay. Think of trap cards except you don't need to set them. Okay, yeah, that's good. Requested that you move from play to discard. Yes, that's fine. Oh, it's infinite, that's why it's staying yours. Okay, now I get it. I'm starting to get this a little bit. And you can't draw except by a card drawn by this act. If this act is cast, draw until you hold 8 cards. Put 1 mark on this act for each drawn card. I'll just pass and see what you do. Alright, so I decided to pass the turn since I was fumbling around asking a lot of questions. Using Friend Vendor's Quirk again, okay. You draw a lot of cards in this game. That's kind of crazy to me. Trick is only during attacks, so. I discard my Veteran Beetle to urgent call this. This bud can't be called except by its quirk. If you haven't urgent called a bud this turn, you can discard an ally card and urgent call this held bud, and it gangs a quirk depending on the discarded set. Okay. So he discarded a card and basically special summoned it. This bud gangs 10 BP and 5 GP and can pierce, okay? I know what pierce is from other games. double from its bud lights. This bud gangs 5 BP and 10 GP and can't be beaten from its bud's fights. When Hallowed Machina is urgent called by discarding a bud, it gangs 10 BP and 5 GP as well as piercing. And double ED it deals. Added zones, added node zone 4, okay. Since Veteran Beetle was discarded, I can recall it using its quirk. Ah, combos. Combos. Something tells me I'm gonna get wrecked. So it's a zone 3 card, which means it's probably gonna own my zone 3 card. As a bonus, Veteran gangs 5 BP. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I pretty much ended my turn so I could see how battle actually works. And I couldn't even attack last turn anyway, so I was like, I'll just end. I'll just put one card on the board and just see what happens. Because if you throw, I just know in most games, if you throw out your whole hand on the board, your opponent will just counter you and destroy you, and then you'll have no card advantage. So I have to be careful. I just play one card and see what happens. And it's early, so I doubt there's like some crazy OTK that just like kills me in one turn. Most games don't do that. So I'm 1 rank, meaning loses 2 BP. Okay. So it just loses 2 BP because I'm rank 1. That makes sense. So BP's 13. And yours is what? 13. We are tied? Oh, no, you have +5. Yeah, you have +5. I caught myself. Forgot. Anyways, do you hold a card that can stop Veteran Beetle? Does my minus only last the battle? Because that will depend on whether I'm going to try to do something or not. Because I can maybe save my ant tracker. It's unaffected by other cards and you can't. If this act is cast, draw until you hold 8 cards. Put 1 mark on this card for each card drawn. At your draw phase, erase 1 mark on this act. Pop this card and discard your hand. Ooh, that's nasty. Put 1 mark on this act, each drawn card. At your draw phase, erase 1 mark on this act. Or pop this card. Okay, pretty much, since the bud will leave the battlefield and be reset if it's played again. Okay. I'm just gonna let it go then. So it's beaten. Because I need to just see how this works before I know optimally what to do here. So I'll discard the ant tracker. So that's 5 ED dealt. How is damage calculated? It's a basic damage calculation. My buds are in battle mode, attack mode, therefore their BPs are applied when calculating damage. So I take 15 from this direct attack. Because you have a BP of 15. Okay, so you have an attack and a defense mode. Oh, guard power. Okay, it's starting to make sense now. GP is guard power. And BP is attack power, basically. And I guess something in... So I take 15 from this direct attack. Actually, it's 25 since Hallowed Machina boosts itself from its quirk. You don't lose yet, though. Oh, okay. So I go down to 0, but I don't lose. 10 BP and 5 GP. How do you lose this game? When your TE becomes 0, your soul is automatically pulsed, flipped face up, unplayed. The only way a player can win is to beat their rival's soul. If you draw a card except by the skill and your TE is 25 or less and your rival's TE is 25 or more, or your TE is 25 or you can draw a card. You might actually get the upper hand with that soul. If you draw a card except by this skill and your TE is 25 or less and your rival's is 25 or more, or your TE is 25 or less than your rivals. You can draw a card. Oh, but the gang BP equals your TE. It's kind of like a representation of your health. Anyways, on my turn. Okay. You can actually play it anywhere, but it can attack any bud no matter what lane it's in. Okay. I'll just put it in lane 1. Friend Vendor. All of your DPs, if you took damage last turn, gain 5 TE. Don't forget you can draw extra cards due to your soul. If you draw a card except by a skill and you're okay. So I can draw another card from the soul. Okay. It makes sense, otherwise you would draw off of it infinitely. At your draw phase, if you took damage last turn, gain 5 TE. While it would do this only at the start of your draw phase, I'll allow it since it's your turn and conditions have been met. The bottom number? Just use the counter thing next to your profile picture. It's what I've been doing. If TE is your health. Oh, TE is your... Oh, okay. So I gank 5 TP. Once per turn, you could take 5 FD. Draw a card and it fits a bud. Alright. The next time you take damage, reduce it by 5. If this act is added or drawn, you can shuffle it, draw a card, equip it to 1 bud, and use 1 quirk. Shuffle this act. Are you going to use Friend Vendor's quirk? Held no other cards. You take 5 damage. So I take 5 damage and draw a card, and if it's a bud. So I take 5 damage and draw 1. Took damage last turn, gain 5 TE. Once per turn, you can take 1 draw card, and if it's a bud, you can discard or pop an ally card and urgent call it. Yes, if it's a bud, you can discard or pop one of your cards to urgent call it. So not a bud. During your rival's turn, you can discard or pop 1 ally card, cast a different shifter, regular, or infinite card you hold. Once per turn, if you draw a shifter bud, you can urgent call or cast it once per turn. You still get to keep it, okay. If you draw a shifter bud, you can urgent call or cast it once per turn if a shifter bud is called or equipped to it. Don't forget you can draw an extra card due to your... Oh, right, yeah. Discard or pop 1 ally card, draw a card, and if a bud was sent to your ward, draw a card. No other cards. Pop this card, recall, or summon ally 1. Okay, so Friend Vendor's not going to do anything else. He's just going to sit there now. That stops a rival bud attack. Stop the attack and shuffle this act. This act is scrapped at it. This is a 3. The next time you would take damage, reduce it by 5. This act has a mark. It's unaffected by other cards, and you can't draw except by a card drawn by this act. If the act is cast, draw until you hold 8 cards. Oh, that's how that works. Okay. Right, you got 20. This has 15, and this has 13. I definitely need some buds. That's a contract bud. Rival buds lose 1 BP and GP. If your bud is contract called by a card and you hold less cards than your rival, draw cards equals to the difference. You can't play that without offering buds whose ranks equal its rank. Oh, okay. Alright, I know I can't use that one. Take 25. If this act is cast and you haven't taken damage this Draw until you hold 8 cards. FV can help you at least. Made a little mistake. You can play Contract and Union Buds through quirks as well. Okay. Commanding no other cards. Pop this card or recall or summon ally Bud. Commanding no other cards. Pop this act, recall or... Okay, so I'll just discard this. If this Bud is urgent called, shuffle all other Buds you command. This contract called Bud can pierce. If this contract... Okay, so I think pierce means I still deal damage even if it's in defense mode. Or guard mode. This contract called Bud deals damage, your rival draws a card. If this Bud fights a rival Bud, the rival Bud loses 8 points. If this contract called Bud beats a rival Bud, you can discard or pop one other ally. This Bud ganks 2 BP or GP for each card you command until EP. This Bud ganks 2 BP or for each card you command until the end phase. Draws 5 BT and ganks 5B, draw a card. It's bottom 3, but no. The only quirk you can use since it was contract called is the 8 BP or GP reduction, which is triggered when it attacks or is attacked by one of my Buds. You can actually try to take down Hallowed Machina. I could. I may as well just do that. I have all these cards with these long effects that I don't know what to do with, and I don't want to discard my hand off this other one. Riku attacks Machina. Yeah, which does that, I guess. It kills it and then deals him the damage. Takes 7, because I was a lot stronger than him. So it looks like you take the difference of the BP. Like it's similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! In that regard with the attack versus attack. Now just end. He couldn't do anything? That's really bizarre. Alright. So I draw, and then I draw, and then I draw again. From the draw soul. Alright, now I could play cards. I have more buddies finally. What's this one? Draw 1 card or until you hold 6 cards, so I can play this. Choice to draw 1. Then draw again off of the soul. Nice. Alright, starting to get the hang of this. What's this now? Draw a card. If this act is discarded or scrapped, draw 2 cards. And if it was discarded by a card played this turn, you can add this card at your next draw phase. Direct attack me that turn. That seems bizarre. Unless he can't. Maybe because he already dealt me the damage to 0. He needs to deal me damage else. If it attacks, it loses the 2. So I have to. If I attack it, it doesn't. I don't. So that's only 5. So I need to get a stronger card out. That's 13. I have a veteran beetle of my own, I guess. This card is discarded or scrapped. You can urgent call it. And it gets 5 BP. Once if this Bud attacks, rival Bud loses 2. And this one is Friendorago. If this held Bud is called, each tactician draws 2 cards. And if it was regular called, shuffle 1 commanded rival card. Contract. Oh, so only contract cards need to be tributed or something. Limited. So my veteran beetle attacks yours. Once if this Bud attacks, rival Bud loses 2 times the rank. Are you sure yours only has 13 BP? Not unless it says until the end phase or this turn. Then I'll just put it in guard mode, I guess. Ryuku attacks directly. No, because I command a bud, but you can attack the bud. It's within range. Oh. So I can attack anything that's directly in front or adjacent? Alright, that makes more sense. Veteran attacks Beetle. Okay, Ryuku attacks Beetle. Oh, he has a... Oh, it's that card. Stop the attack and shuffle this act. If this act is scrapped, add it. So he stopped my attack. I cast Storm Dragon, stop the attack before shuffling itself. I'll just end. If you're attacked or a held rival card is played, you can urgent call this card during the battle mode. This bud can bypass and can't be beaten during the turn it's called. If his bud is called, discard one ally card to draw 2 cards, and if you've played no other cards this turn, use a quirk. This bud is unaffected by quirks until the end phase. Discard 1 act, cast 1 act from your hand or deck. Or deck? This is a deck. This is a game that requires a lot of playtesting to optimally play your cards, it looks like. Arcane Quirk. I can mill one of my acts when it's regular called, so it can gang 2 BP times each card on your battlefield until the next end phase. Scrapping Stopparagon. Letting my bud gang 6 BP. So he's making a big beefy boy. I use FV's quirk again. Oh, friend vendor, okay. Target an ally bud until the end phase. Ally buds other than it can't attack or use a quirk. The target gangs 5 BP. Take damage up to your TE 10. The target gangs BP equal to damage taken. Taking 8 damage and targeting AB, it will now gang BP the damage I take. So that's going to flip over his soul card, it looks like. Because he went down to 0. So he's got the same one I do, the draw soul. Now that our TE are equal, you can't use effect anymore. Okay. Fair enough. I forgot about the 5 TE I ganged when you beat Hollowed Machina. Anyways, this is downside only. AB can attack this turn. 35 battle points. Attacking my 24. I have a Stopparagon too. Guess I end my turn. Choice to draw. How does a player win at this point? I need to figure out what I have to do to win here, because both our points are 0 right now. They have to beat their rival's soul. How do you beat the soul? But did you regular or advance call? Nothing yet. Rival blood loses 1 BP or GP times your hand. Well, my hand's pretty freaking big. Draw cards equal to the distance. Oh no. Then buys if this bud sends a rival card to the war, draw a card times each sent card. If you draw a card, this bud gains 2 BP or GP times each drawn card. Once per turn, if you draw a card, you can pop 1 rival card. My bud loses 11 BP and GP. Yep. That is true, I think. If this held bud is called, each tactician draws 2 cards, and if you was regular called, shuffle. Okay, alright, so we both draw 2. Yes, that part's right. And if it was regular called, shuffle a commanded rival card. So AB. So I choose AB. Attack. And then I think I'm attacking directly. Or is that just direct attacks? Do I have to do direct attacks to deal damage to the soul? All you have to do is beat it in a fight, as in you only need 1 simple attack. I just attack it and that's it? Successful, not simple. But you have to get rid of buds first. Okay, that fair enough. But anything on field can attack it? Or is it like okay, anything on field can attack. Okay. That's when these are things I needed to know going in. And seal on slab. If you are attacked, QR held rival card is played, you can urgent call this. Alright, so I have to wait with that. I should wait with that one. This attack can bypass. If this bud is called, you can... Okay, only in this situation because we both have souls with 0 power. Okay. Alright, battle, battle, battle. Regular call is like normal summon. Unless you have choices to spend. Battle. I'm just going to go to the battle. So AI attacks. Twice Veteran Beetle can't be removed from the battle phase. So I have to attack it 3 times? Is that what the problem is? Don't forget about Friend Drago's quirk. Once you can add 1... If this regular called bud is sent to your ward by a rival card, you can urgent call 1 limited bud from your deck. So no, you'll win. Oh. Congrats. Okay. Wasn't expecting that. Alright, so it looks like I finished the game. I ended up beating him. So the goal of the game is to decrease the... The only chance I had to stay alive was temporary boost, but I couldn't cast it since I don't have 10 or more TE. So, as I can see it, to win this game, you have to decrease the TE, which is basically your life, to 0. And that flips face up that player's soul card, which is this card right here. And then, from there, you have to attack the soul card, and it automatically is defeated if it's attacked. However, you can only attack it if you clear out all of the other opponent's monsters units. So, and then the game is beaten. So basically I used an effect that got rid of that 1 card earlier, and then I attacked his shelter beetle, and then I attacked directly and killed his soul for game. Okay, so I'll just say GG. So unfortunately, OIO, I couldn't physically speak to you since due to complications, so we had to communicate through text, which did make this go a little longer than what we planned. But I'll wrap this video up by explaining my thoughts on your game, Unreal Tactics. I wrote it out here for them so that they can read it on their end, because I know they can't hear me right now. But I will just say, for the viewers watching this video, it seems like there's a lot of draw power, which makes it easier for a player to stay in the game and fight back, because as you know, the more cards you draw, the more options you gain throughout the game. Even for players like I, who are just learning how to play, I ended up even beating him. And to be honest, I didn't really fully understand what I was doing, but luckily they did a very good job going, oh, you can do this and you could do this. So some of the terms were confusing at first that they used, like like the contract and urgent called and regular call. But when I started equating it to other games that I've played, I sort of understood it once it was, brought into the right context. So some of the terms are confusing at first, but after relating them to other games, I started to understand how they work. I do feel the effects are rather long, because as you can see, like with this one, there's a lot to read here, which can be intimidating for new players. So I know you might be doing that on purpose, but I just wanted to bring that up to the attention as well. Um, This game definitely also needs physical spaces on the board, because Untap doesn't do it any justice. Because as you can see here, a lot of blank spaces all over the place, and players have to force it upon themselves to play cards and make a note as to which lane they're in, because you need to be in a certain lane in order to attack certain things. Um, Lastly, it definitely seems like there's a lot of depth in the gameplay, which requires lots of play testing to get familiar with the rules and also how your deck works, which is good for those wanting a more complicated but rewarding experience. So that's a definite plus there. Overall, it's a great game, and keep on working on it, OIO. I know you don't have card images right now, and I would rather to see those too, but I know also that this is still in its testing stage. Thank you for your time and thoughts. I can try scanning the sketches and show them to you guys, just now that they might change slightly or drastically when they come out and or deemed official. Do you want me to respond to your thoughts on Discord later? The responses shouldn't be that long, and the reasons might interest you. That's fine. So we'll continue talking over Discord. I'm gonna wrap this video up here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll do more of these, trying out other people's trading card games, and we'll see where it goes from there. Anyway, for now, see you all later. Stay tuned for more TerraZone content.